The town of Hollow Creek was small, quiet. It nestled against a vast, dark wood. The trees stood tall, silent sentinels guarding secrets best left undisturbed. Shadows stretched long and deep within the woods, even on the brightest day. The townsfolk rarely spoke of the woods. When they did, their voices were hushed, filled with a fear as old as the town itself. The woods held a presence, they said, something watchful, something hungry. Children were warned to never stray from the path. Those who dared venture into the woods after dark were never seen again. Their disappearances remained unsolved, shrouded in mystery and fear. The woods whispered of forgotten things, of shadows that moved with a life of their own. The air always felt colder near the woods. A damp, earthy smell clung to the breeze, whispering of decay and forgotten things. The sunlight seemed to shy away, as if afraid to touch the darkness that dwelled within. The townsfolk knew better than to tempt fate. The woods were to be avoided. They were a place of shadows and whispers where fear took root and flourished in the darkness. Deep within the woods, hidden amongst the trees, stood an old house. It was a grand house once, with tall windows and a wide porch. Now it stood empty, its paint peeling, its windows boarded shut. The house was a scar on the landscape, a testament to the darkness that clung to the woods. The townsfolk called it Watcher's Domain. Legend had it that the house was cursed. Its previous occupants had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only whispers and rumours. Some said they had been taken by the woods themselves, swallowed whole by the shadows. Others spoke of a creature that lurked within the house, a being of pure evil that watched and waited for unsuspecting prey. Whatever the truth, the house remained untouched. No one dared to approach it, let alone enter its darkened halls. Birds avoided landing on its roof, and animals steered clear of its overgrown garden. The house stood alone, a beacon of fear and dread in the heart of the woods. It was a place of nightmares, where the air hung heavy with the weight of secrets and the silence was broken only by the creaking of the wind. Sarah was new to Hollow Creek. She had moved there with her family, seeking a fresh start in a quiet town. Unlike the other townsfolk, she was not raised on tales of the woods. She had yet to learn the fear that clung to the trees like morning mist. Sarah saw the woods as an invitation, a mystery waiting to be unravelled. She was drawn to the unknown, her curiosity a flickering flame that refused to be extinguished. She had heard the whispers about the abandoned house, of course, but Sarah was a skeptic. She didn't believe in curses or creatures that lurked in the shadows. She saw the fear in the eyes of the townsfolk, heard it in their hushed tones, and she couldn't understand it. To her, the house was just an old building, forgotten and left to decay. The stories intrigued her, sparked a sense of adventure that she couldn't ignore. One sunny afternoon, with a backpack filled with supplies and a heart full of determination, Sarah decided to see the house for herself. She ignored the warnings of the townsfolk, their pleas for her to stay away. She told herself it was just an old house, nothing to be afraid of. But deep down, a tiny part of her hoped for something more, a hint of the mystery that had captivated her imagination. The woods were darker than Sarah expected. The trees pressed close, their branches intertwined overhead, blocking out the sun. The air was heavy, still, filled with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. The path was overgrown, almost invisible beneath a carpet of dead leaves and fallen branches. The deeper Sarah ventured into the woods, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the sound of her own footsteps crunching on the dry leaves. She tried to ignore the feeling of being watched, the prickling sensation on the back of her neck. The stories she had dismissed as folklore now echoed in her mind, taking on a new, unsettling life. She pressed on, her curiosity battling with a growing sense of unease. The woods seemed to close in around her, the shadows lengthening with each step she took. As she walked, the path began to slope downwards, leading her deeper into the heart of the woods. The air grew noticeably colder, sending a shiver down her spine. She could hear the distant sound of rushing water, the gurgling of a hidden stream. The trees thinned slightly, revealing a glimpse of something ahead. It was the house, its silhouette stark and forbidding against the darkening sky. Even from a distance, Sarah could feel a palpable sense of unease emanating from it, a cold, oppressive aura that sent a shiver down her spine.